What's up, everybody? Welcome to the old school, prehistoric version of the RC Dirt Oval podcast with me, Alfie Adams, with no camera on me tonight, and Tim, TQing and winning wherever he goes, Rothenberger. What's up, Tim?
Not much, man. Just getting through the week.
Yeah, and it's only Tuesday, right?
I know, dude. That's the bad part. Yeah. It is only Tuesday.
Good grief, man. So, yeah, man. Friday night, you kind of dominated again a little bit?
Yes.
TQ'd and won both classes?
Yep. TQ'd and won both classes.
Okay, so I was looking at the point standings for the sprint car.
For the point standings? Oh, yeah. Yeah. One guy didn't show up, which bumped me right up.
Okay.
But, yeah, the previous... Go ahead.
No, so is it possible for you to win the points in sprint, or...
No, it's not possible that I could win. Josh has a couple more weeks running than I do. Well, he deserves it anyways.
Okay. Yeah. No. Josh is a good dude, good driver. I just was trying to do the math, and that's why I was like, I don't think, with you missing so many in the beginning, I didn't think it was possible. But looks like you'll have a good, strong second in that.
Yeah, I'll have second lockdown now.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool, man. But I mean, most important, you're still having fun, right? Still like running there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah. And I know you've been stocking up for the spring, right? Would you pick up a B5 and all kinds of goodies?
Yep, I got another street stock. So if anybody wants to come to the Sky Spring Classic and run a street stock, I will have an extra one there that I will not be running. I will have mine, plus I'll have an extra one.
Right.
I have a problem with buying RC cars.
Yeah,
I got my new sprint car. My late model should be coming this week. And I'll have a stock Mud Boss too if anybody wants to run that, because I won't be able to run that.
Good grief, man. Well, your wife doesn't ever have to worry about you getting hooked on drugs because you can't afford them.
No. Yeah, no, that won't be a problem.
All right. Yeah, and so this week's going to be like Christmas for me, because I got a shipment from down south coming from GFRP. Late model and sprint, assault and assailant are on their way, and then I found a guy trying to sell out of everything he had. All I wanted was the B5 in the deal, B5M, but the deal was too good to pass up for the whole lot. So I'm going to be sorting, and I'm just warning everybody now, I will be posting tons of stuff for sale because I'm doing a spring cleaning of my own stuff. So going to be
I already got pictures, people, so I'm going to go through the list first.
Yeah, man, I'm going to be loading up the classified pages, I think.
Yeah, I've seen all that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff.
You haven't even seen my personal stuff that I'm sorting out. Like,
if it's anything like mine, like right now, I'm chipping over bodies and chassis that are unpainted and freaking parting together retarded custom works non-spindle fronts from B4 stuff. So I got pieces everywhere right now.
Yeah. All right. Trying to think what else we had going on. I just got done having a little business meeting for the podcast. Got some cool stuff in the works going on with some of that. Some announcements going to be coming soon. Some exciting stuff happening with that. All right. Well, before we go and drag Rotor Ron into our mayhem, let me just talk about the most favorite subject of the week right now, and that is conversion cars. Okay. Let me make a few things crystal clear so there's no misunderstanding about my opinions. I like conversion cars. I'm going to say that one more time. I like conversion cars, just so we're clear. I think conversion cars bring a ton to our hobby. They fill a huge void. I think, as I mentioned before, they give a great point for off-road guys to come in. I think because the companies are smaller and nimble, they can experiment and push innovation better than some of the bigger companies can. I think they're a huge benefit. I think what rubbed some people wrong about what I said was I cast a very wide net over the conversion market. And I want to say that there are several fantastic conversion companies on the market that you could call up or send a message, get great customer support, and get an absolutely fantastic product that you would be thrilled with and that would be capable of winning the biggest races in the country. Just go look at the rundown of chassis manufacturers at the Chili Bowl and you will see tons of conversions at the top. They are just as good as anything else on the market. Now then, since I had to cast a wide net because I could not name every company that I thought was a good conversion company, because I would have forgotten one or I would have not known of one yet, because that does happen. I learn of new companies almost every day in this hobby. So instead of trying to say the names of the good companies, what I instead want to do is try to paint the picture of the people, the type of person that I think is a problem when it comes to conversions. So if this hits you, if this describes you, I apologize, but this is my opinion. The person that I have a problem with is somebody who is just gotten into RC, past couple years, is kind of new to it, doesn't have much experience with RC, doesn't have much racing background, period. They got into it because it was fun, and now they're seeing all of these conversion companies, the good ones, and they go, oh my gosh, they're getting $150 for that, or whatever the number is, and they go, man, I could do that. There's nothing to it. I'll just go pick up a cheap router and some G10 and start cutting, and I'll make a ton of cash. They don't get into it because they're passionate about it and they want to further what they're doing. They don't get into it because they believe they can bring a new approach to it. They simply see it as dollar signs. Now then, they take that and it fits together. They don't have experienced racing friends that they can give it to test it. And they simply bolt one together, throw it up on Facebook, and instantly they have a chassis company. Meanwhile, here's where my real problem with that comes in. We have an extremely growing hobby right now, especially in the Northeast. Tons of new people are coming to it on a weekly basis. They don't know Custom Works from BBE, from GFRP, from whoever. They just know RC. They look on Facebook and they see this guy with a company selling a conversion for cheaper than the good conversion companies are. They buy it. It doesn't work well, and there's no support to help them get it to work well. Well, that person goes, screw this hobby, sells it, and goes on to something else. That is the type of person that concerns me, and that's the type of pop-ups I've started to see. So that's who that was painted towards. Again, I like conversions. There are tons of good conversion companies doing this. And for my final point, it might be a euphoric dream of mine, but yes, I would love to see more and more companies going more and more towards purpose-built cars, solely for the reason of more of the money staying in the dirt oval community. I know even if that happened, there will always be a market for conversions, and I want there to be a market for conversions. But I personally would love to see a higher percentage of the money being spent stay in the dirt oval community. Again, I know that's probably not possible nor practical, but it is something I would like to see. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you, because that to me only makes logical sense. The more money in the community, the better we can make the community. What do you think, Tim?
Sounds good. It cleared the air.
Well, I think that horse has been beat to death. So, without further, let's take a little break, see if we can drag Rotor Ron into this. Welcome back, everybody. We are joined tonight with the one, the only, the man now of many things, Rotor Ron. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. So just a little bit about how I got to know Ron, and then we'll jump back into how you've gotten to where you're at. Man, a year and a half ago or so, I had seen you somewhere on the internet, and I reached out to you, and I think the first motor I got was like a reconditioned from you, and yeah. I loved that. And then racing got a lot...
To my surprise, by the way, to my surprise, you love that.
And then things got a little more serious, and I think it was for going in my sprint car. I don't remember now. No, it wasn't. It was actually for a mud boss. So I called you up or sent you a message, and I was like, okay, man, I need a serious rocket now. And I think at the time you were like, all right, well, let's do a Phantom. And I told you what it was going to be in and this, that, and the other. And you said, all right, well, let's do this, Phantom, whatever version it was at the time. And I was like, give me the best of the best, man. So we did the Works Plus, triple platinum, whatever. And then you put all your voodoo on it. And I'll never forget this. The first night I put that thing on the track, it sounded completely different than any other 17.5 on the track. So much so that guys could hear it pulling them coming down a straight, and they would yell to me from the driver's stand, yo, I'm going high. I can hear you coming. And I was like, dang. And yeah, I love that motor, man. So, I've been a firm believer in what you do, and I've been wanting to get you on here for a while, and we finally made it happen. So, Ron, give us the rundown, man. Like, what's your background? How'd you get started in RC and all that fun stuff?
Well, I've always been involved in racing, one way or another. Literally from the day I was born. My parents were really into cars and racing. Growing up, that's really all I knew.
Okay.
Weekends were at the dirt tracks. I grew up in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania. So I was either State Line Speedway, Erie Speedway, McKean County, Bradford, little bull rings like that.
Okay.
And when I got to the age, I don't know, it was right after high school. My little brother was playing around with RC cars. And, of course, him being my little brother, I just, kind of brushed it off, as he's playing with toy cars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went one day and realized what he was doing. And I seen, okay, well, I can race, and it's not going to cost me what it's going to cost me to race a real car.
Right.
that was my immediate, I always look at things from what it's going to cost me kind of standpoint when it comes to hobbies. And within a week, I bought a car. Was on the track 2 weeks later, and literally within a month. And back then, by the way, this was all dirt oval stuff. We weren't doing any off road.
Right.
This was all summertime outside dirt ovals.
Yep.
And almost within a month time, I figured it out and was kind of running up front and having fun and really enjoying it. I think it was 92. It was either 91 or 92. And in 92, I went and bought a, you have to forgive me I lose track of some of these names, but I know it was a Bowlink car because they decided in this club that I was in the wintertime that they were going to rent out the local one of the buildings at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And they were going to race carpet indoors.
Yep.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into, obviously. So I got with some friends and bought this Bowlink car and put a weird looking wedge body on it.
Right.
Painted up like one of the local guys, which was nobody else was doing but at the time. So when I showed up looking like one of the local guys, of course everybody else had to do the same thing in the following weeks, but just really took off from there. I mean, I really found that most of the things I learned about real cars could apply to the small cars, whether it be setups or, drivetrain, I have suspension, everything, and, I want to say it was 94, 95, somewhere in there, started doing off-road.
Okay.
Had done just oval up to that point. And, pretty immediate success, racing locally off-road stuff too. Huh. And we had more off-road tracks available, as off-road was gaining popularity with, the I think Traxxas came out about that time, and Losi had all their stuff out. And,
right.
Of course, the RC10 stuff, and everything was just kind of taking off.
Yep.
It was a fun time. I think back to those days, and granted, it was a pain in the butt. Cutting your comms and dealing with brushes and dealing with, the light or lipos, nickel metal.
Yep.
I think it was back then.
Yep.
Your 4 minute runs, you were lucky if you made 4 minutes. There's many times I can think back that big races, cutting it close and, having the battery basically die with 10 or 15 seconds left. Those are the days. Those are the good old days. So then life happened. I took a break, if you will, got out of the hobby, got back into it about 7 or 8 years ago.
Right.
Our local track here, I now live in Illinois.
Okay.
So my home track, if you will, is Leisure Hours Raceway.
Okay.
In Joliet. Excellent facility, and they've got indoor and outdoor off road. They've got outdoor on road.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They got pit spots for up to I think there's 200 and some seats there.
Wow.
It's a huge facility.
Yeah.
So the year I got back into it, they were holding the Roar Nats, whatever year that was, outside. So I got to see Mayfield and Cavallari and all these guys, at my local track.
Right.
And just really got back into it. Had a lot of help from some local guys, on what to buy. And, of course, I got back into four-wheel drive. I did four-wheel drive off-road, which was a mistake looking back, but it's neither here nor there. Everybody has their own choices.
Yep.
Got into two-wheel drive, short course after that, then two-wheel drive buggy. Well, my love has always been dirt oval, obviously.
Right.
So there was a track in Kankakee called Limestone Raceway.
Okay.
A little bit of an hour drive or hour and a half drive for me.
Right.
Started going there regularly. I don't remember, again, this is 5-7 years ago.
Yeah. And
I bought a GFRP late model.
Right.
It had a low-C short course mod. Started going there every Saturday night, and on the Wednesday nights they'd have practice, or I think it was Thursday nights, or sometimes we had Wednesday night racing back then.
Right.
Just after it hard and heavy.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Yeah. So, do you still race any?
Not as much as I want to.
Right.
Since I started this whole thing, it's been a time-consuming project,
Uh-huh.
to say the least.
Okay.
I've only got to race maybe 6 or 7 times in the last year.
Oh, wow.
There's just no time. I mean, there's no other way to say it. As Rotor Ron has grown, I'm spending literally every night after work out in the garage.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the weekends, and then you have to balance family life as well, and of course the day job.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of tough when it comes time to want to go race.
Right. Right.
Trust me, I miss it. I want to as much as humanly possible, but the few times I've gone, I've been reminded that in order to stay competitive, you got to stay on the wheel.
Yep. That's the sad truth.
First time back, I hit just about every tube out there on the racetrack. So. It was quite embarrassing, to say the least. I should have been a rookie.
All right. Now, when you say Western Pennsylvania, relate that around like Pittsburgh to me. North, south, east, west.
Okay, so hour and a half north of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Right on the Pennsylvania-New York border.
Okay.
I grew up in a town called Bradford, which is the home of Kendall Oil, Zippo lighters, case knives.
Yep.
Got a lot of history in that town.
So, yeah, that's kind of crazy because today, as this is completely off topic, but I got added to a group on Facebook today that's hosting a series of dirt oval races, and it said Pennsylvania. Well, my ignorance, I'm Pennsylvania. I'm thinking East Pennsylvania, Reading, Philly areas.
Yeah.
And I look at it in the map, and it's like almost at the Great Lakes.
Right.
And but anyway, I was like surprised because there's this little pocket of dirt oval up there, and they're running, I think it's a 4 or 5 track series through the summer, and it has quite a big following. And I was like, it shocked me with the exposure that I have now of dirt oval that I'm still finding these like pockets of guys doing it over here and doing it over there, and man, I think if we could ever bring us all together, I think the off-road community might be surprised just how big we actually are.
Well, I've learned just how big, just since I started doing Rotor Ron.
Right.
I've realized just how big the dirt oval stuff is.
Yeah, yeah.
Even really compared to off-road, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's a pocket thing. There's groups of guys that just race in, one track, in somebody's backyard, and they all get together, and there's, 20, 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just actually, it's funny you were talking about that. I just talked to a gentleman 2 nights ago back from my area in Jamestown, New York.
Uh-huh.
And this could be that group you're talking about for all I know.
Right.
But he had sent me a couple motors to tune, and literally the next day he had told his buddy about me. So he sent me his motor as well, and right there in my old backyard.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's really like I've beat this horse to death, but that's really kind of the reason I wanted to start this podcast, is to try to help bring all these little pockets together, because it's big, man. So yeah.
It is. It's bigger than a lot of people realize.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so how did what we know as Rotor Ron today? How did you get started with that?
Well, it basically started on accident, as the story goes. I had bought a dyno because I've always been intrigued by motor dynos. If anybody remembers Bart Hartman from back in the back in the 90s and 80s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I lived in Ohio, after I moved to Ohio from Pennsylvania, got to know some of the guys in that region as well, and started hanging out with Bart mainly on the week or during the weekdays. After work, I'd run down a couple nights a week and hang out at the shop. Well, his brother Brett built motors.
Okay,
and they had a dyno. They had a real dyno in their garage, shop, whatever. And I was just always intrigued every time that thing would start up. And it didn't matter what I was doing. I was over there watching all the gauges and, trying to really understand with my headphones on what was going on. And, just something that's always intrigued me.
Uh-huh.
And I had an opportunity to buy a dyno for that I could test brushless motors on.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of buddies that told them I was going to do it. And, the whole goal was really to just get myself and a couple friends motors on it and learn.
Right.
That was really the goal. The goal was never to make money.
Right.
Again, this is a hobby, so I really never ever thought about making money at it.
Right.
And one thing led to another, and I just remember that September of 2 years ago, when leisure hours opened, my short course actually got accused of quote unquote cheating by the race director that night.
Oh, okay.
And I was running a low speed rear motor short course, and it was always pretty quick and pretty fast and stuff. But the driver never was as good as the car, as the saying goes. But that particular night, it was really, really good. And I came on. I just basically stumbled onto a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Operating this thing, and I started applying that theory to every single motor that I put on that dyno.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hand one to a buddy or put a buddy's motor on it, and do my work and give it back to them. And from the driver's stand, they would be like, "I don't know what you did, but that works."
Right.
And then I started charging. That was when I would bring the dyno to the track.
Okay.
And I was charging like $10 a motor.
Right.
I didn't have time to raise.
Right.
Because I was tuning everybody's motors. And I thought, well, okay, we're going to raise the price to 15.
Right.
The next week.
Right.
The next week. And it didn't stop people. So then I stopped bringing the dyno to the track.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to race.
Yeah,
I wanted to race. And it didn't matter. People still wanted to give me their motor at the track. Or, I started having guys from other tracks, because they heard what I was doing,
right,
message me, through Facebook or whatever, through my personal page, or a friend of a friend kind of thing. And, hey, can I send you my motor? These guys up at Trackside, for example, like,
right.
I just think back to it, Milwaukee's 3 hours from here. And, here I got guys sending me motors and cash in the box, to tune them. It was insane.
Right.
So that's when I kind of realized I had something.
Yep.
And I launched the Facebook page just over a year ago.
Okay.
And my website, I never launched the actual website until last summer.
Okay.
And it's just kind of taken off from there.
That's awesome. So I know. I know about motors, but I don't know about motors. So, and I know you've broadened your services. You're a retailer now. So, like, what all does Rotor Ron do?
Well, originally the whole thing was I was just going to do motors.
Okay.
But as it grew, I started listening to my customers. I've been in e-commerce now. This is my 20th year.
Okay.
So the layman's terms, I've been selling on eBay for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I've always learned in any type of sales is that you listen to your customers.
Yep.
And as time went on, I would sell them a motor, or tune their motor. Well, what speed control do you recommend?
Mm-hmm.
What battery do you think I should run? I had guys ask me, do you have motor screws? I just really started listening, and it made sense to me that, okay, I really should be a one-stop shop.
Yep.
I should offer the service to where if a guy wants a tune motor, or a racer wants a tune motor, then I should be able to offer a speed control. I should be able to offer a battery.
Right.
I don't want to stock arms for a B6. I don't want to be a total hobby shop.
Sure.
Sure. I think that at the end of the day, the things that I've learned along the way and the way I'm able to test, and, I'm able to give products to a couple local friends to test out,
mm-hmm.
Before I put them on the market, if you will,
mm-hmm.
So that I know what I'm selling is actually good.
Right.
And I'm not just selling it because I want to make a profit. That's the big difference. And I really think at the end of the day, the other thing that helps Rotor Ron set himself apart is the customer service aspect of things.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's a lot of miseducation in this hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of misinformation in this hobby.
Yep.
It starts at the track and goes all the way to, the big boys, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a speed control. Here's a motor. Well, why? Why do I need this?
Right.
Why? How do I? Oh, well, I ordered the wrong one. Now what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
I've already used it. Now I've lost all this money. I'd rather the racer come to me first, and tell me what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
I can point you in the right direction and be able to offer you a discount as well for ordering as I call it, a combo, whether it be a motor and speed controller or motor and battery.
Right.
And then, I branched out, I started carrying wire and charging leads. I'm working on a project right now for charging leads. I've got actually 300 hitting the door sometime next week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To launch all different colors and shapes and sizes and stuff.
Right.
Again, people have been asking for them.
Yeah.
I've had black. That's the only thing I offered. I thought I did the Henry Ford mentality. You can have any color you want except black. Well, then I realized that, well, you're a dummy, Ron, because you didn't want black. You've got one yellow and one pink. So why do you think everybody else should want black?
Right.
I bought a bunch and tested them out, and I felt there was one lead that I really, really liked, and actually there was two. So both those people are going to be making leads for me, and I'm doing eye chargers now. And
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, no,
it's fun.
I like it because I was thinking about this just the other day. I saw you had posted that you were selling Tekin wire, which I like their wire. And I was thinking, I know over the years there's always been waves of, well, you got to run this size wire. And I mean, oh, you need 10 gauge wire. And I mean, it got out of hand at one point in time and guys were running, basically like car jumper cable wires. But, right. But, now I could send you a message and say, hey, Ron, look, I'm going to be running, a 10.5 Midwest mod, so it's blinky, what speed controller, what gauge wire, you know what I mean? And that's nice that, I can get it all just one spot and, be good to go.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, honest to God, the order I just shipped before we did this podcast, was a gentleman that reached out to me that's actually racing at Bump and Jumps. What's the big race coming up?
February Freeze. Yep.
Yeah. So he ordered 17.5 for a sprint car, and we messaged each other back and forth. And, I have this response, if you will, that I hate to use the word canned, but e-commerce has taught me over the years that, a lot of the same questions are asked over and over. So you, rather than typing them out every time, you have a nice little response that you can send people.
Right.
And, I sent a message saying, don't forget when you're ordering the motor, it comes with a sensor wire, but, do you need regular wire? Do you need screws? I said, I offer all that stuff. Be sure to check it out. And this gentleman went and, he bought green and pink wire and sent me a message. Said he can't wait to use the wire, which I thought it was a pretty cool combination. I love pink.
Oh, yeah.
For whatever odd reason. And,
yeah,
to use the pink and the green wire together for the positive and negative wires as well. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw when you posted that about the Tekin wire and one of the pictures was the pink Tekin. And that got me thinking right then, man, because everything now is all black and black and black. And I was like, man, I think I'd like that pink wire just to break up my chassis a little bit.
Yeah, I've ran the pink pink. Yeah, say that. Pink Tekin wire for 2 or 3 years now,
right?
In all my cars. And I remember when I first had it, I had people asking all the time, "Where'd you get that?" And ordered it right from Tekin. And as Rotor Ron has progressed, I've become a Tekin dealer.
Right.
So I'm able to offer that as well. And the other wire, unfortunately, is not Tekin. But again, this is kind of the fun part of Rotor Ron, is buying up all this product that's on the market and testing it out
Uh-huh.
before I go and sell it.
Right.
Because, I mean, I literally do that.
Uh-huh.
You know, anything that's on my website I would never run in my own stuff or recommend to anybody. You know, I mean, or I would recommend, I should say.
Right.
I don't sell anything that I would not run in my own stuff or would not recommend to people.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yep.
You know, so I was able to source some different color wire. You probably remember that post too.
Yep.
You know, where I had green and yellow and blue. You know, I literally went to 3 or 4 different sources, before I settled on the brand that I'm using now. So,
okay.
And people, you know, love it. Actually, green, I was just telling my girlfriend before this, green has been the most popular for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
So, usually green is superstitious in racing, but apparently not in RC.
Apparently not. No. Yeah, don't ever go to a full-size racetrack wearing green. You will get some nasty looks. Right. Okay, so let me just throw this hypothetical example at you. So springtime's coming up, and I've got a couple tuned Rotor Ron motors in my box that I feel are just as strong as the day I got them. But through some trades and some buys and sellings, I've picked up some used 17.5s. Because quite honestly, I had one of those Sky RC, whoever makes them, the motor analyzer. I had one of those a long time ago until I started dealing with you, and I sold that thing off. I don't fool with them anymore. So I don't know if these motors are good, not good. If I wanted to send those to Rotor Ron, can you tell me, hey man, this thing's junk? Is it, you know, do you offer that?
Yes, I do. You can go to my website. At the very top of the site, there's a couple clickable pictures, if you will. One says dyno request.
Okay.
That'll take you to the next page, and you just fill out your personal information, your mailing address, shipping address. What do you want me to do? Basically, I offer 2 options, and it's really hard to. We really played around with this when we started the website, because some guys just want their motor on the dyno. They don't want me to go through it. They don't want me to open it up, you know, because at the end of the day, that's time and it's more money.
Sure.
So we basically have it in 2 categories, where it says a newer motor, you know, not so many runs on it, or it's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I do that. I believe $22.99. So what I do is I put it on my analyzing equipment, you know, just as it sits, obviously not taking it apart, take the measurements, then do my work on the dyno after that.
Okay.
And I have a grading scale that I send out with every motor.
Right.
It's an A through F, you know, and that's purely subjective based on what I think.
Sure.
At the end of the day, based on the experience that I've gained and the knowledge I've gained doing this.
Right.
Or you can do what I call the full service. I believe that's 32. Yeah, it's $22.95 and $32.99. So that's where I take it apart, measure everything. You know, measure the rotor, clean it from top to bottom.
Right.
Polish the rotor. You know, measure the stator with it taken out of the motor, not just on the motor.
Right.
This is a little bit easier to check when it's taken apart. Anything that's out of tolerance, you know, I have my own personal tolerances.
Okay.
And, you know, there's been times that I've pulled a motor apart and measured the rotor and reached out to the customer and say, hey, this needs to be replaced.
Okay.
You know, and I try to be as honest as possible. I send pictures, you know, of the rotor on, you know, the analyzer, and show them the actual numbers and where it should be.
Right.
You know, and if I have the parts in stock, we replace it. There's been many times where a customer, you know, the motor's sat apart on my bench, you know, for a week, and they'll order the parts and have them sent directly to me. Put the motor back together. Again, put it on the dyno, do the same stuff I would do normally, and send the results and the dyno sheet and all that stuff back with the customer, along with the grading scale and any issues and notes that I may have on the motor.
Okay. So that's pretty exhaustive then, doing it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty in depth. Yeah, it's a lot of information, but yeah, it's racers love it. I mean,
yeah,
it gives them a true insight to what they have.
Yeah, well, I think these, like I said, I've picked up through some horse trading a couple motors I don't know anything about. And, I've never seen a motor sold used on Facebook that's ever been advertised like it should be, Yeah, it's been run at 220 and, melted the wires off of it type, it's always.
As my buddy and I always say, an RC Tech never over 140 special, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I know from my experience in the past, I'd gotten up with you and I was like, I want to rock it. And you were like, all right, well, the Phantom, this and the whatever. But before that, I had been running R1 stuff. And then lo and behold, recently, I see you now are selling R1s. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So if I called you up, and said, hey, okay, I want a new, what's R1 now on? Still 16s or are they on something newer?
Yeah, it's on the spec stuff, it's all V16.
Okay. So I could call you up and you could build me a new rocket out of a V16 R1?
Correct. Yep.
All right. So I guess then, you're a fan of R1. You believe in them?
I am. I started working with Steve end of the summer. Right. I believe it was somewhere in there. Steve is the owner of R1.
Okay.
And we reached a deal, and I started testing some of their stuff, and I really liked what I seen.
Mm-hmm.
Again, before I sold it to the public, if you will, some buddies and I got together and rented out a local racetrack for an evening, and we did some testing. Now that was off road,
mm-hmm.
And we really liked what we seen.
Right.
I was able to do a true test session with 5 different drivers, 5 different skill levels.
Mm-hmm.
From a guy that could go to any local track, or any big race and probably be an A-main guy,
mm-hmm.
All the way down to, I hate to say it, someone like me that, is just your casual weekend warrior, if you will, but, can still drive decent. And, we actually tested 3 motors that day or that evening. And, R1 was obviously one of them. And out of all of them, the R1 just stood out.
Right.
So from there, I took one of those 2 of those motors actually, and sent them off to a couple of my dirt oval guys
mm-hmm.
to do testing for me. And literally that evening, wherever they were at, they were texting me, showing me pictures, and without even trying, they were at the top of the charts.
Right.
So that's when I started doing more and more tuning with R1, and have been basically for about 6 months now.
Okay.
No, that's not to say I don't do other motors, but
sure.
The R1 is the one that I recommend the most.
Right. And again, if somebody has a whatever, they can send it to you, and you'll.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, you'll work your voodoo.
As long as it's, I should emphasize this because I do get asked, but anything that has adjustable timing.
Okay.
I can work my magic on.
Right.
I can't pull apart and work any magic on one of these Hobby Wing Just Stocks or
mm-hmm.
the new associated ones with the closed cans.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've tried. I put in a few evenings trying to play around and do some tweaking, and it's just not worth it.
Right. Okay. So I think we've pretty much covered. You do new motors, you'll recondition used motors, you'll tune used motors. I can get speed controllers, batteries, wires. Anything to go fast, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. It's become a speed shop, if you will.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch base on is, the reconditioned stuff.
All right.
So, I do a lot of trading as well, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't keep a whole lot of reconditioned stuff on inventory because really, at the end of the day, people want new stuff over, I hate to use the word use, but that's
right.
bottom line. I call them reconditioned because that's really what they are.
Right.
And going back to reasons why I started doing this, because I was one of those guys that bought a motor used on RC Tech, and put it in a vehicle and was just deeply disappointed.
Right.
Because you just didn't, you don't really have anything to go on other than trust, and then at the end of the day, data is everything.
Yep.
So when I can take something used, if you will, take it totally apart, rework it, replace any parts that may need to be replaced, and then dyno it and put it up there as a reconditioned motor. There's also a market out there for the weekend warriors that they don't want, the latest, greatest motor.
Sure.
They're just happy to go to the track, run their car, and have something decent in their car.
Yep.
So the reconditioned part of Rotor Ron has, there's a niche for that. Many customers have been very happy with those reconditioned motors, and I think I'm talking to one.
Yeah. Yes, you are. My first motor I got from you was a reconditioned, and
the Tekin Gen 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's make it just a little bit more personal. This world of RC and all of its drama at times. What do you enjoy most about this? You wouldn't.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
I said, well, you wouldn't know anything about drama in RC, would you? No, I'm just messing.
No, you broke up. I'm sorry. What did you say?
What do you enjoy most?
The people.
Yeah.
It's like anything I've done sales wise in my lifetime. I think it comes back to people. I say this all the time. I catch myself just saying it out loud and not even realizing it.
Right.
But there's two things about Rotor Ron that just amaze me every single day. It's the fact that I never set out to do it to begin with.
Right.
Which really makes it even more enjoyable and more fun.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where I'm at on any given Saturday night, any given Friday night, and sometimes even on the weekdays if there's weekday racing. You get that message from a customer. I'll never forget my very first one. It was a gentleman that bought a motor for that King of KC race series that they do in Kansas City.
Yep.
The durables out there in that area. This racer on a Saturday night at like 10:30 sends me a Facebook message with his plaque. He had won a street stock race or something of that nature, and he was just tickled to death, and it made me happy too.
Right.
Because instead of going to the track and beating your competitors, if you will, on the track while you're on the stand, Rotor Ron, this has allowed me to take a different direction in being competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to produce a product that my customers see success with, which means I'm feeding that competitiveness that I'm missing when I'm not at the track, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
I tell this story too, about a month ago or however many weeks ago it's been since the Chili Bowl. I'm sitting in the shop Saturday. I've got live RC going on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my wire. I've got a wire running from my laptop to my Bluetooth speaker, so it's loud and I can hear.
Okay.
What's his face announcing?
Yeah.
And I know a couple guys that are, that were out there with my motors, and Tony Lingard
mm-hmm.
end up winning the B main and 13.5 wingless.
Right.
With one of my R1s, and charged from dead last in the A all the way up to fourth in the B, and was one of the fastest cars on the track at the end of the race.
Yep.
I mean, to me, that was like watching the Daytona 500 for me. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
To see something like that happen.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, the people. To go back to your original question, it's definitely the people. It's being able to listen to what they say. When they message me and say, you did great work, or
right.
this motor's awesome, and hey, I love this speed control. I'm glad you recommended it.
Right.
So easy to adjust, and just the little things like that.
Sure. Well, your answer for the next question might be the same as the last one. We'll see. What's the worst part of doing this?
Oh, wow. I guess the worst part would be the lack of time that I'm able to spend at the track.
Okay.
I miss hanging out. As crazy as that sounds, I miss hanging out with the guys at the track, locally and stuff.
Yep.
I don't miss the long days at the track. I just miss, I think it goes back to people as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I miss those opportunities for those laughs, and Monday morning when you hear the jokes and you weren't there to understand it, kind of thing.
Right.
So you kind of feel left out.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because Tim, he gets to race every week still through the winter.
Yep.
And other than the Chili Bowl, I have been done since October, and it looks like I won't be racing again till March. And I'll see all the chatter from his races, and I'm going, man, I miss it. I miss it bad. All right, Ron. Well, I think I've about ran through my list. Tim, do you have anything for Ron?
No, it's just good hearing a voice to go with all the Rotor Ron motors I see floating around.
Yeah, appreciate that. I do want to touch on one thing, if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead, buddy.
The whole shag oil thing.
Yes, I forgot that. No.
So Joe Stubbs, I've been buying his products ever since he started, and I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was, a customer before I was a retailer, if you will, of his products.
Right.
And, I use shag oil on every single motor that I touch.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there on my bench. It doesn't matter if it's one you send in or if it's a brand new motor. Every one of those bearings have shag oil in them.
Yep.
And going back to my regular, and even my normal everyday RC car bearings I've always put shag oil on them.
Yep.
It's just, the low drag, the ultra lightweight part of the whole shag oil product just allows those bearings to spin so freely overall.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I've tested other oils on the market, and there's nothing that compares to the shag stuff.
No.
So when I started Rotor Ron, I started selling the oil. It was actually the first product on the website besides vending motors.
Mm-hmm.
First non-motor product on the website, I should say. And customers loved it.
Right.
Up until that point, I had it in stock, but I just had this little message that would go out when somebody buy a motor from me or whatever before the website. And I'd sell a bottle here or there, but every bottle that I sold, people would write back, hey, this stuff is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get another bottle for my buddy? Or, hey, my buddy's going to message you, and, can you just buy one bottle? He doesn't need a motor. Yeah, sure. I don't care. That's fine. And it just took off from there.
Right.
So Joe approached me last month, and he's like, listen, I just can't do this anymore. I don't have the time. I want to sell this off to someone that can take shag oil to, what I really envision it as being
right
in the market. Would you be interested in, basically buying the company? And I said, yeah, sure. Let's sit down and talk. And we talked over the phone, and we made a deal. And so now I officially own the shag oil brand, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's from there. The one nice thing about it is what I'm trying to do is put it out there to hobby shops, and tracks, to get a hold of me.
Yep.
I don't care if you buy as little as 6 bottles. So I'll sell it to you to get it out there.
Right.
Get the product out there to the customers, to the racers.
Right.
Because I think it's something that should be in every racer's box.
Oh.
Because it's not just for motor bearings.
No.
It's for any bearing on any RC car.
No,
doesn't matter what it is.
I got a bottle about a year ago, and I redid all my bearings. I don't know, at some point in time anyway. And cleaned them super good and put shag on all of them. And I mean, there was no comparison. And I was just like, that's just another one of those things that just go on the list of like, it's not even worth trying anything else. I mean, it's just.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the owner of it, but I couldn't agree more. It is literally one of those $10 purchases where you don't even try anything else.
Yep. No, I mean, I know there's plenty on the market, but it's kind of like the iCharger. And I tell most guys, that are looking at chargers, I'm like, yeah, you go get another one. Eventually you're probably going to end up buying an iCharger anyway. Like just skip it and just get it and be done. And you're set on a charger probably forever, and or until it dies. And shag oil is the same thing. You can try the others, but really just buy one bottle. It's going to last you forever, and just be done with it. And it's just that simple. Yep. And so, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I see you, Ron. You stepping up big time now. Yeah, no, I think it's exciting, man.
If anybody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's exciting, man. I like to see, I know from way back into, a year ago, or whatever it was, and to see how you've evolved, I just excites me, man. I like to see guys doing good and having success and having fun with it. And, so I'm just pumped, man. When I saw that announcement, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I was really happy for you.
I was super excited, when Joe approached me about it, and I didn't want to change anything. I told him that up front. I said, you've got a great product. It's been proven time and time again.
Right.
I won't change it. It's just that I also believe the same thing that he did, is it needs to be out there more.
Yep.
So again, if you don't have a bottle in your box, I encourage you to go to my website and purchase a bottle, and I'll ship it to you. But I also encourage any track owners or hobby shop owners that are out there listening, message me through Facebook, or my email address is info@rotorron.com. If you're interested in wholesale opportunities for the shag oil, not a problem. I'll sell you as little as 6 bottles. It's decent, profit margins for you compared to other products that you're probably selling.
Right.
And get the products out there.
Absolutely.
Get it out there to the masses, as they say.
Yeah, man. All right. So just one last look over my notes here. All right.
And let me say this, Alfie, you're doing a great job. I think back to one of our original conversations before you even started this podcast, that you were thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, the RC dirt oval community needs this.
Yep.
There's quite a few of them out there that cover, the off-road spectrum and crawling, and, of course, Matt's show covers pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And,
Tim Smith.
Him and Tim Smith both do a great job. And
yep.
Names escape me on some other guys, but I think back to that conversation that we had, and the first thing that popped in my head is, oh my God, there really isn't anything. Yeah, that would be awesome. Do it, please.
Yep.
So I commend you for doing that.
Oh, thanks, man. It's fun. I think I say this probably every other episode, man. I knew there was a need. I didn't quite know it was going to be this big and this well received, and we're just thrilled. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're just we're going to keep experimenting, trying different things, and see what works best and how we can best cover it. And got some big plans, some top secret stuff going on for this summer, and I'm going to have some announcements coming down the pike. So we're not going to rest. Good. We're going to keep pushing it further and further, man. See how far we can take it. And
it's the same way with Rotor Ron. I've got some projects I'm working on the side.
Yep.
One's actually in the dirt oval world, and the other's in the off-road world. And I've got some other products lined up down the pike, actually 2-3 months out. So yeah, I'm the same way. I I'm just listening to what my customers want and what their needs are, and seeing where there's opportunity and trying to take this train as far as I can.
There you go, man. I love it. So where can we find you? RotorRon.com, is that right?
Yeah. Yes, rotorron.com.
Okay.
You can search Facebook for Rotor Ron. I encourage you to go to my Facebook page, hit the like button, follow me. I'm always making some type of announcement, where I usually got some good coupon codes going on.
Mm-hmm.
The other, if you want to message me, my easiest way is through Facebook, but
Right.
you can also email me at info@rotorron.com.
Right.
I also want to let your listeners know that I've made a coupon code for the website good for the next week.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll give any of your listeners 10% off anything they order. There's no limit on what they order.
Oh.
The coupon code to use in the checkout is DirtOval10. And that'll give you a 10% discount on any purchase you make.
Okay. DirtOval10, all one word.
DirtOval10, all one word.
Boom. There you go. Snatch up some shag oil and get your motors ready for the spring and load it up on Tekin and R1 speed controllers and batteries and get everything.
I'm selling Hobby Wing speed controls as well.
Oh, you're selling Hobby Wing too? You got them all covered pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, again, you start to carry too much, it gets confusing to people.
But no.
So I just kind of rested on 3 brands and kind of stick with that and work with it and try to understand every product a little bit better with everybody's experience as well.
Right. Well, sweet, man. Tim, you got anything else, buddy? You still awake? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, still awake. Cool. All right. Ron, I really appreciate it, man. It's this has been one of the podcasts that I've been really looking forward to since I've started, and I'm glad we could finally get it. And you got anybody else you need to thank or websites to plug?
I got a couple of buddies that help me out. They know who they are. I mean, I can't thank them enough.
Right.
For everything they do and all the messaging, listening, complaining, ideas, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's nice to have a couple good friends to lean on there.
Yep.
I do want to thank Derek Tracy at Tracy Technologies. He's out of Las Vegas. Did my website. Again, I try to keep everything in the RC community. I'm a firm believer, and that goes back to the whole eBay thing.
Right.
All my years on eBay and being actively involved in the eBay community has taught me to, when you're involved in an industry, try to keep that money in that industry and keep that industry alive.
Yep.
So if anybody's out there looking to do websites or knows anybody that needs websites done, and it doesn't even have to be RC related, obviously, but
right.
Tracy Technologies, I would encourage anybody to get a hold of Derek.
Okay.
He's been awesome. Plus, he's a pretty good RC racer at that as well. He's been a huge help to Rotor Ron.
Nice. Well, cool. Ron, it's a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in the future. I should mention, go ahead.
Thanks to my family for putting up with all the time that I spend in the shop as well.
Yes, that is big. Without our families, man, it would be a mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Tim and I can fully relate.
Yes, we can.
All right, well, cool. For Tim and myself, we just want to thank all the listeners. As always, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RCDirtOval. You can find us on the World Wide Web at www.rcdirtoval.com. And lastly, we just want to say a special thanks to some companies that help keep us racing, and that would be Papa Willie's Traction Tonic for taking care of our traction needs, and TQ Bodies and Wraps for taking care of our beautiful cars and keeping us supplied with decent Lexan. Guys, as always, it's a pleasure. We'll catch you next time. That's a wrap.